Okay, so welcome here to Football Matters, the new show on YouTube talking about football. 80% of this talk is going to be college football. 80% of that's going to be SEC football. And probably 75% of that's going to be the Arkansas Razorbacks, my home team. I'm going to try to go through this season being completely unbiased, impartial towards the Razorbacks. I'm going to try to give a fair overview of all of football, especially college. So, I'm going to start this episode by giving you my prediction for the 2022 Arkansas Razorbacks schedule, win-loss record. Okay, so they're going to open up with Cincinnati Bearcats, which was in the college football playoffs last year. However, they lost a lot. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost a lot on the defensive side. And so I'm going to pick the Arkansas Razorbacks 31-24 with their first win. Then they're going to go on and have South Carolina come to Fayetteville. Shane Beamer's been doing a terrific job in the transfer portal. Now, he has brought in, I believe, a new starting quarterback. He's bringing in a bunch of different players to fill spots that he was unable to recruit for. And I think that he's got South Carolina on the upswing of their future greatness that they can have there. I think he's the perfect person for that job. I was not a big fan of them firing Will Muschamp, but, what are you going to do? I think they've replaced him very well. However, I still don't think that he's going to be able to compete at Fayetteville against the Razorbacks. And I have the Razorbacks winning 27-10. And then we're going to come on to Missouri State. Now, you're thinking, why would I focus so much on Missouri State? Well, I'm focusing so much on Missouri State because of who their head coach is, Mr. Bobby Petrino. And that game is going to be at Fayetteville, and I imagine the whole stadium is going to be filled with people wearing neck braces. Just a guess. Bobby Petrino's first game back at Fayetteville since being fired as the head coach of the Razorbacks. And he's a great offensive mind, maybe one of the best in college football. However, he does not have the athletes to compete against any Southeast Conference team. And I have Arkansas Razorbacks winning 52-24. I'm going to bring in a super fan now to give me his prediction on the game. Well, let me tell you something, Matt. Bobby Petrino's going to come into town. He's going to be riding his motorcycle. Riding that motorcycle. The one that got him in all that trouble. Anyway, he's going to go up against Sam Pittman. And Sam Pittman's going to show him, hey, guess what? We got a real coach now. We got a man that ain't going to be riding around on a motorcycle, wearing a neck brace, all that jazz. And so, I'm going to predict myself, Arkansas wins 117-3. We'll have a fumble on the goal line. They'll kick a field goal. They'll get 3 points. Besides that, I don't see Missouri State having a good game at all. Because everybody's going to be wearing neck braces. They're all going to be, my head, And that's what's going to happen when Bobby Petrino comes back to Arkansas. We got a real coach. Mr. Sam Pittman. Woo pig suey. Now, Ray Bob, out. Okay, superfan, calm your roll a little bit. You're getting a little ahead of yourself there. We're good, but we're not, that level. Okay, then our first away game. I guess it's an away game. It's at a neutral site. It's going to be at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium at Arlington, Texas. And we're playing against Texas A&M, who just recently recruited one of the best recruiting classes in college football. And but I don't think that those kids are going to be able to come in and make the impact this season that their Jimbo and the rest of that staff wants them to make. They're going to be great. They will be great. Probably not this season, though. And I have the Arkansas Razorbacks winning this one for the second year in a row at 27-17. Then Alabama comes to town. And last year's game was a little too close for comfort for Coach Saban. And I think that they are going to light it up. We've lost so much on our defensive secondary, and we've replaced them, but where's the continuity? They haven't been in the system for 2 or 3 years like last year's defense has. So I have Alabama winning this one, 35-14. See, I told you I was going to try my best to be impartial. So that's our first loss as the Razorbacks. Then Arkansas goes to Starkville, Mississippi. Now last year, week one, or the first year of Coach Leach, that season, KJ Costello, I believe it was, threw for 600 and something yards in the first game. They was talking Heisman winner, greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and then our defensive coordinator, Coach Odom, devised a defense that completely shut him down. And from then on out, the rest of the season, that's how all the other teams played them too. Now there's a rumor floating around this state that Arkansas is going to be experimenting with a 3-2-6 defense. They're going to have 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. Now, if you don't run the ball, this almost makes it impossible to pass the ball. So Mississippi State, if you don't develop a run game, start running, start using a tight end, that is actually the reason I didn't want Mike Leach, is because of his system. There's no real power running game. There's no tight ends. And Arkansas is kind of known for that stuff. And I have Arkansas winning that game 42-20 at Starkville. Then they go out to Provo, Utah. I have this one as a loss for the Razorbacks. I have BYU winning 45-30. It's just been a tough schedule. They're used to being at home. They've played a lot of home games here. And then they fly out to Utah, and the BYU crowd is pretty animate about supporting their team. So I have BYU winning that one. That's our second loss at 45-30. Then they go to Auburn, Alabama to play the Auburn Tigers. And I have this game being pretty much a blowout for the Razorbacks. I have the Razorbacks winning 52-17, mostly because Auburn doesn't know what's going on. I will honestly be surprised if they have not fired their head coach by this game. I mean, if it's obvious they're not making a bowl game, they're going to fire him as quickly as possible so they can get on the hiring trail. Maybe they should have kept Gus around for another year or two. Okay, so after the Auburn game, come back home, and Liberty University is coming to town. Liberty was really, really great last year. Hugh Freeze is a very good coach. No matter what you can say about him as a person, he's a good football coach. But they lost so much. You know, they had one awesome player, quarterback, who got drafted. He's gone. So let's see how they can fare against the Razorbacks. And it's like the whole Bobby Petrino thing. I just don't think they have the athletes to compare to an SEC school. And I have the Razorbacks winning this one 42-24. Then the battle for the Golden Boot at Fayetteville. It's Brian Kelly's first year at LSU. And I don't know how he's going to fit in there. I really don't. He's a good coach. However, he's played in a non-conference team. Coached a non-conference team for years. I don't know how he's going to do going into the SEC. It's going to be a tough transition. He's a good coach, but this year, because of the turnover, coaching staff and all this, I have the Arkansas Razorbacks winning the boot at 45-17. Then Lane Kiffin comes to town with Ole Miss, and they lost a lot too. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost some receivers, players on the defense, even though the defense really is not Lane Kiffin's strong suit. I have the Razorbacks winning a revenge game this time against the Ole Miss Rebels at 52-49. And what's scary is I think they will score 49 points, even with a new quarterback, even with new receivers, because Lane Kiffin is a very smart man when it comes to the offensive schemes. He's very good. I'm not taking anything away from him in the football area. Then, to finish up the season, they go to Missouri, Columbia, Missouri this year, and I have them winning 35-13 over the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkowitz he's a good coach. I just don't think that he's an SEC coach. I just don't. I think he would make a phenomenal offensive coordinator for one of these teams. I just don't know about his head coaching. He hasn't proved it yet. He might. He might end up being the next Kirby Smart. Who knows? But as of right now, I have Arkansas winning 35-13, which gives them a total record of 10-2. Here's the kicker. The A&M game. That could turn around and be a big loss for us because of the recruits that they recruited. So that could possibly put us at 9-3. Now, this is all barring any kind of injuries, suspensions, players leaving. This is just as two healthy teams go against each other, healthy rosters, no injuries. I have Arkansas going 9-3, possibly 10-2, depending on the A&M game. That's my flipper right there. The Cincinnati right out of the gate, that's going to be a big test. And I think that Arkansas will pass that test, mostly based upon the coaching staff. This is the third year under Pittman with the same coordinators. That's very, very rare to keep both coordinators, offensive and defensive, for more than a season or two. And this is going to be the third year in a row we've had the same coordinators, which puts KJ Jefferson in the same offensive system for the third year in a row. Last year, going into the season, he was ranked 14th of the SEC quarterbacks. Now he's coming in ranked a third or fourth because he's been coached up and because he is a freak of an athlete. All that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining me on Football Matters, and I will try to be impartial, and when the Razorbacks are not doing well, I'm going to try my best to tell you that. When they are doing well, I'm going to try my best to gloat. It just happens. But I have the Razorbacks going 10-2, possibly 9-3, for one of the best seasons we've had since Bobby Petrino. Thank you for joining me on Football Matters. I'm your host, Matt. Stay tuned. Future episodes will follow. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, push the button, ring the bell, all that jazz. Thank you.